Welcome back to another installment of the Futurism podcast. I'm not your host. Our gracious host is Nick.
Well, no, we're co-hosts.
Oh, we're
we're co-hosts.
Oh my god, I
We're-
got promoted.
We're triple co-hosts. That's
We're
crazy.
triple co-hosts. So yeah, you don't remember who we are? I'm Nicholas,
I'm John.
And I'm Ricardo.
and today's topic is something I know nothing about: the future of gaming. So, gamer boys, do you want to tell us about?
Never say that. Never say that
Well,
again.
I will say I used to play a lot of. I played this one online game called Tanky, and got busted for it because
Tanky.
in middle school.
Oh,
It's like this
okay.
tank game essentially.
Okay.
I got busted in middle school because essentially my whole grade, I kid you not, my whole grade was literally playing this game.
Were they just addicted?
We're all addicted, and it was like we'd have like competitions and everything. I like won one of the
crazy.
tournaments, and I felt like I was the king of the world. But like literally we play this 24/7. I kid you not, like in class, we used to have these circular tables, and the teacher would be on one side of the table. So the whole side the computers weren't facing the teacher, everyone would be playing, and then we'd have like
Nice.
signals to each other, and we'd like switch tabs when she'd come around to the other side. Then the other side would start playing.
Dang, you had a whole system.
We had a whole system. I kid you not, the whole grade was in on it. And then eventually we got busted. I don't know how we got busted, but I guess one of the teachers was like, "Why are the kids like failing in school right now?"
That's
So
suspicious.
that's like my only experience with gaming besides like mobile gaming, like Clash of Clans, Clash Royale,
That ruined it for you.
stuff like that.
You could never
I
lay
used to
your
love
fingers on
Clash
a,
of Clans.
never lay your fingers on a video game again after getting busted.
I will say I tried the game like 2 years ago,
Okay.
and I was like,
What game did you
I
try,
don't know why
actually?
this. No, it's the same game, Tinky.
Oh, you tried it again.
I
Yeah.
tried it again, and I was like,
It doesn't feel the same.
yeah, just like
This game is awful.
Yeah, but it's like it's not the game, it's like it's the
The
it's environment that everyone's in on
Yeah.
it, right? It's like Among Us. Like Among Us is not that amazing of a game in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
yeah, obviously.
if everyone's in on it, it makes it so much more interesting and fun.
Yeah, it's like trying to play Monopoly by yourself isn't very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very social aspect.
So anyways, that has nothing to do with the future of gaming, but
Right.
that's my experience.
That's the
with
past
gaming.
of gaming.
That's the past of gaming. So,
Yeah.
well, to understand the future, you must understand the past. So,
Yeah, and I think
Exactly.
as a wise man once said.
I think
Or
starting
woman,
off with like
someone.
that, I think looking at the past of like games. I'm personally I play a lot of games. I grew up in Mexico playing whatever I could get my hands on basically. So what we would do is we didn't really have consoles because like those were like for people that had money, and I wasn't one of those people. So what we would do is we go to like either corner stores or just like little shops that people had where they would basically just have all these arcade games. Like the old ones, you don't see them anymore here, but in Mexico, there's still a few places that have them. You'd put in like 1 peso, 2 pesos, or whatever like it was, and you'd play like Street Fighter or like Mario. Dude, I spent so much time like playing those types of games, and like you were saying, there's a social aspect to it because like if you were really good at Street Fighter or whatever the game was, like King of Fighters, people would gather around you just to watch you play. Like that was just the thing. Like if it was a grown up playing, like all the little kids would be like around them, just like looking and seeing like, oh shit, he's doing it. He's like, he's actually beating all the characters that like a kid wouldn't be able to. And I think that sort of tells like an interesting story, right? Where I think games there still are for entertainment, but the reason for making games has changed drastically, and especially looking at like new titles now, right? Before it was just about like, playing with a friend, right? Think of games like Pong, think of games like FIFA or whatever, right? Street Fighter. For most of those games, like the best aspect of them was not to play alone, but to play with a person, to play with your friends, your family, like whoever it may be. But like there's been a transition, and it's kind of like up and down right now due to like online gaming, but games had become like very, very like story driven, right? A game isn't just a game for the sake of like entertainment. Sure, that's the main point, but it also was like able to tell a story in ways that like you wouldn't be able to experience before. That's honestly why I believe one of the reasons movies about video games suck so much, because rather than it being like a movie that you can control, which is basically you playing the game, they take away an aspect of it, which is the interaction part.
No, yeah, that's completely true. I think a lot of the best stories in video games, it's because the game is like 10, 20 hours long,
Yeah.
and the story develops in a very organic way, and you're basically like there's no scenes in a video game, right? Most of the time.
Yeah.
You're playing like a pretty continuous story and you're present for every, every step of the way. One thing that I will say, your little monologue reminded me a lot of God of War when you're
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about like the importance and the development of stories and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
think it was really
absolutely.
really insightful. Um, and I thought of God of War, the new one, where I mean, the second iteration of the new God of War is coming out soon.
Right.
God
Yeah,
of
yeah.
War Ragnarok, and the first one is all about Kratos, who we've seen like being basically an animal throughout like 4 or
Realistically, yeah.
5 games, if I remember correctly, maybe 3 or 4. But killing all these people and killing gods and just overcoming the odds every single time and just being a very vengeful, angry person. Now he has like a son,
Yeah.
and he's like a single parent, and he has to raise his son. And that actually, fun fact, it stemmed from the head developer actually struggling with fatherhood himself and
Yeah.
feeling his way around what it meant to be a dad. And so he kind of translated all of those feelings into a game, and you can really really tell. And I think that's why it's so popular and why the second iteration of God of War, the new version of God of War, is so anticipated, is
Yeah.
because we get to see a little bit farther down the line, after Kratos' son is, a little more grown, maybe he's a little more rebellious, stuff like that.
Literally revealed to be Loki.
Yeah, exactly. Spoilers.
Who is Kratos? I don't really know this game. So.
It's like
He's like God of War, but he's not like Ares.
Okay.
He's
I think he's fully human, I think, right? He doesn't have any like parents that are gods. Like he's not half god.
I think he might be. I think I don't remember. What I remember is that he may have had like latent powers or something. No, actually, you know what? I think you're right. I think he was fully human.
Right.
I think his family got killed when his village got raided.
I think no. I think what happened is that it got raided, but I think he killed his family. Like he got possessed or something by like a god. Like that's his whole thing about like going against gods.
Yeah,
What
and then
the-
in somewhere along the lines, he got bound to like the Blaze of Chaos and stuff like that. And
It's a revenge story.
yeah, he basically goes on a over the course of 3 games, he goes on a huge rampage and kills like all of the Titans and all of the gods and pretty much everybody who is super duper important in Greek mythology. And then in this new iteration, we can call it like God of War 4,
Yeah,
I think, because
technically.
He moved to like Norway, and now he deals with like the Nordic pantheon.
I was gonna say because you said Ragnarok, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
think of
Yeah.
like Thor
And
and
so
like
they
Nordic stuff.
they basically they dance around it in the first game, which is a really really great idea. They sort of talk about all the other sort of pieces of lore, and they really really hype up people like Odin and Thor, but they show the world serpent and other very popular icons from that sort of mythology. And then basically they tease it at the very end that Kratos has done so much damage to the Norse world, I guess, or has made a big disturbance, that Thor himself is coming out of the woodwork and is gonna try to deal with him. So it's very very anticipated. Basically God of War versus God of War, or I guess God of
Ooh.
Thunder, but you know.
Did you guys watch the new Thor: Love and Thunder movie?
I haven't yet.
You haven't?
I
Did
didn't
you
think it
watch
was
it?
very good.
No,
Nah, it was alright.
I don't know. It just didn't seem very. I don't know. Didn't seem very interesting. But what would you rate it out of like 10?
6.
6.
Yeah.
Six
I
worth
haven't
watching?
seen it. Haven't seen it, but I
Or
think
not?
I've heard same criticism. Like there's a few good things about the movie, but like I don't think it's like something. It's not a must watch kind of thing.
Yeah. But anyway.
To each their own, I guess, in that respect. But yeah, like the way that like games have shifted from this purely entertainment to more of a storytelling piece of media, right? I think it's very indicative of like how different things shift in terms of like their value. Entertainment, then for a lot of it, like storytelling. And what we've seen now, especially with like the level of interaction that we're able to get, especially with the new VR headsets coming out, I think Meta is making their
Oculus.
like their they bought Oculus and they renamed the Oculus like the Meta Quest whatever.
Oh yes.
And
yes.
basically, I think they're coming out, or they did come out with like a new one, which is like $1,600.
Ooh.
But it's like the hardware's extremely good. I recently saw like an Instagram video from MKBHD talking about it, and he basically put the camera of his phone through the actual like lenses. It looks unreal. He basically had like a workstation of 3 different monitors like in his field of view, and it looks so good.
Well, all right. You know what? Let me ask you a question then, because mentioning now Meta, which personally I don't like.
Facebook overlords, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of. I mean, I don't know if you heard the Resident Evil 4 it came out like a while ago, but
The remake?
they remastered
Yeah.
it for VR, but it's only for the Meta console.
Oh, I didn't know that
You
was
can
a thing.
only get it on the Meta
Oh.
piece of hardware.
Monopoly
sucks.
right there. For
And
the game.
it's
Wow.
it's really annoying because apparently it's really really good, and they reimagined the game to work in VR, and it apparently is really great.
Was it like an exclusivity deal? Like I don't think
Yeah,
like,
with
usually...
Capcom.
Oh.
But do you think? I mean, Resident Evil 4 is kind of an exception because it's been around for years. It's been
Right.
around for like 15 years already. Do you really think that VR will be able to reconcile itself with a nice narrative-based gaming environment? Because so far, the little I've played from VR, it's always just the novelty of what the technology can do.
Right.
So, like, I mean, my favorite VR game is Super Hot, obviously,
Right.
because it's so fun.
Yeah.
But not because it has a good
A
story.
good narrative. It has an interesting narrative, but not to the level of other games.
Yeah, and personally, I don't really care about the narrative. I just like, going in slow motion and dodging bullets and
Right.
throwing things. And I think that entertainment value comes from the medium that it's in.
Yeah.
Like Super Hot would be so boring if you couldn't play it in VR.
Yeah.
So do you think that VR there's a space in VR for story-based games?
I think so. And the reason is that it's something, since it hasn't been made yet, it's something that we haven't seen like a concept of before, but it's definitely possible. So one of the things that we were talking about in my computer science innovation entrepreneurship class is this sort of idea of not necessarily making something that is able to do a lot of jobs, but rather trying to make a tool that is able to do one job, and then people will find their jobs inside of that tool. So, for example, one of the examples that Aaron Heim, our professor, came up with is the iPad. Like the first ever iPad, what was it? It was an enlarged iPod. It was a worse version of an iPhone because you couldn't even make calls. You didn't have text messages on it. It was very limited. But after various iterations, what did it become? A study tool, a cooking tool.
Yeah, every kid has it.
You still can't call on it though, can you?
You can do
You can
FaceTime.
FaceTime.
You can
Yeah.
But
FaceTime.
can
you
you
have
call?
text messages.
Also, why can't you call? Like, what is?
Because
It doesn't have
it's
a SIM
not
card.
phone,
It doesn't have a SIM card.
Is
Some you can get a SIM card
Oh,
for
I
like
see.
data.
If you have an iPad, chances are you have an iPhone, right?
Most likely.
And
Yeah.
you probably also have AirPods, and you probably
maybe
also
a
have
Mac.
Apple Pencil and a Mac.
Yeah.
Okay,
Apple
okay.
is
I
just-
have the only 2 things I have is an
genius.
iPhone and the iPad with an Apple Pencil. Aside from that, I love Windows. I will not get away from the only reason I would get a MacBook is specifically to code iPhone apps
Mhm.
because
Mm.
the App Store is a big market. But aside from that, I wouldn't get a MacBook. If I could like develop apps on a Windows machine, I would 100% of the time do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the common consensus is that like, if you care about computers, you don't use Apple.
Yeah, it's only really for like content creation because they have a thing with Adobe.
Yeah.
But that's another story.
I mean, they just have a monopoly. They've appealed to consumers and kind of taken over. I will say they in the rest of the world they don't necessarily have monopoly.
Yeah, like in India, they're not.
Yeah, I mean Samsung I think is the other big
Samsung is
like
huge.
kind of
Xiaomi, like a lot of the
company.
Chinese
Yeah.
market.
So
and
when I say
that's
monopoly, it really is
North
more
American.
US, North American. Yeah, I mean they are like present in other places of the world,
and they're
but
still popular, but just
yeah.
not as popular in terms of like market share.
Yeah, that's one thing to think about is when we say monopoly, I think we're talking about
Right,
U.S. and
Right.
North America a lot of the time.
Yeah, but I truly believe that the more like these technologies come about, the more creative ways people will find to be able to integrate VR into storytelling. One of the games that was kind of pretty interesting is called Don't Blink. A few YouTubers played it back in the day. Basically, what they do is they get your laptop like webcam, tracks your face, and so the game reacts to every time you blink. The whole point of the game is to realize how little time we have. You're basically this character. You go throughout, this character's whole life, but every time you blink, you skip through stuff. So like one blink from being born to like early stages in childhood.
Does it
Another blink.
does it play out in real time? Like if I were to not blink, would I just crawl around forever as a baby? For like
I
years?
think it stalls you. Yeah.
That's a pretty cool concept.
It like waits until you blink, so it changes to the next phase.
Would you define that as? I mean, I guess I would define it as a narrative.
Yeah. It's very
But-
story driven because like there are no big gameplay components. The only thing is blinking. Sure, you can like look around with like your mouse or like with your look, but aside from that, there is no grabbing your mouse and keyboard to be able to do all this stuff.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
basically
not-
just a story.
I'm not sure if. Maybe I guess we have different definitions of narrative, because I feel like that is a really great. I mean, it sounds like a great game, but because of the concept,
Yeah.
and the moral of the story, I don't know if you could compare something like God of War, which took like dozens of writers and
Yeah.
personal experience and a lot of research into Norse mythology.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could compare that to something so simple and elegant and beautiful as what you're describing as, Don't Blink, right? So I guess what I'm trying to imagine is like a game that uses VR as a tool
Yes.
rather than
the end
the
goal.
main, thing. Like, of course, you probably couldn't. I mean, you probably could actually play Don't Blink without a VR headset, right?
Without a VR headset, I mean, you can play it on laptops now.
Yeah. So like, it's not a necessity. It's just
Not
kind
for
of like
VR, yeah.
a cool, idea that somebody made.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm really thinking about those 10-hour, 20-hour, or they can even be the 2-hour, 3-hour games that have really great, profound stories that you can experience through VR, but not because it's in VR.
Right.
Just it helps to be in VR.
I will say, this reminded me of, have either of you watched either, I think you've watched Ready Player One.
I have watched it.
I don't know if you've watched Ready Player One.
I heard about it. I heard it was bad.
I thought it was great.
It depends on how you want to look at it. It's not as good as the book.
I'm actually reading the book right now.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it's not as good as the book, and I think if you have the source material, any adaptation is probably really bad compared to the original.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know about it. Like, you go into the game and you can put on a suit and there's like tactile.
I think that's the coolest part to me. And this was also reminding me of another book I read called Otherworld, which is almost identical to Ready Player One. I mean, I'm pretty sure the authors like probably got inspired by Ready Player One or vice versa. But yeah, essentially it's like you're able to not only immerse yourself in the world like visually, but through all the other senses. So things that actually happen in the world, someone touches you, you actually feel that. And it's like in Ready Player One, this guy has like this, he's got like a haptic suit that's like extremely sensitive to like touch and stuff. So like in the game, what happens in the game is what he actually experiences in his mind. And so one thing that gets to the question of is, what happens if you die in the game? Like, what is your...
Okay, mate. All right.
You get a spook.
You
You get a
little-
scare.
Sword Art Online.
Oh, for any of you anime watchers that know it's Sword Art Online,
I really like the theme song of Sword Art Online.
Oh, I think it's by Lisa. Lisa did the opening
I
for
have
it.
no clue who did it, but I hear it, and it
It's
I've never seen the show, but it reminds me of nostalgic times.
It is very nostalgic for me because I watched Sword Art Online probably like middle school, so yeah, I have memories ingrained from that.
But to answer your question, I feel like if you die in the game, you just go back into it.
Like,
you know
you
what
just-
I mean? You just respawn.
But
You
what I'm
blink to
saying is
respawn.
the death feels real to you.
Oh, that would be a whole
mean,
different thing.
I don't.
I mean, that gets into
Is that
neuroscience.
fun? Because games are supposed to be fun, right? And if you get shot and you feel like you're getting shot,
I mean, I don't
is
know.
that
People-
entertaining?
I mean, people play airsoft. People play with paintball.
Yeah, but that's nowhere close to being shot.
Exactly, but you don't have to. It doesn't have to feel exactly like it.
That's true.
You just have to feed some response.
That's
I mean,
true.
okay, yeah.
Like, you can get some impact, but not like an
I've seen
actual-
you've seen those like gyro apparatuses that people plug
Where you can, like,
themselves in on.
run.
And you can run around
yeah.
and turn 360 and you're in a full VR environment.
In
Yeah.
Ready Player One.
Or even
has one of
racing
those.
sims,
Yeah.
like the ones that have like motorized parts that like will make you feel like you're in the car.
Exactly. I feel like that to a great extent is pretty. It would be pretty fun, but again, I'm still trying to reconcile this with the narrative-based storytelling route that we've gone down, and by no means is that like the only way to design a game.
Yeah,
Because like, listen, I love games. I think games are one of the best forms of art. I wish there wasn't a stigma around it because there are so many games that if people just gave it a shot, you could learn like actual life lessons or the morals of the story or whatever you want to call it, or you could just have a great time.
yeah.
And
Totally.
I wish they weren't so looked over because games can be so beautiful, music can be so profound, the story can be so compelling, the gameplay can be so novel and entertaining and fun, and you can really take a look at it and say like, oh my god, these guys are like artists, these guys are like masters of their craft.
Yeah.
And that definitely comes across in games because you're in it. And I just want to put that out there that if your game is an hour long and it has a great gameplay mechanic and no story, it's still probably a really great game. However, I'm still struggling to see how something like haptic feedback or being able to smell the nasty things that go on in the Resident Evil 7 mansion,
Right.
stuff like that, how would that improve the story or the experience even to a certain extent?
I think especially for other things it might not be as bad, but like especially for like Resident Evil, like games that are supposed to a certain degree, at least the first Resident Evil games, I know like after 4 everything kind of like went downhill.
No, they brought it back
With
7 and 8.
7 and 8, yeah.
They really did.
But like for those middle games, I think it would be a little bit different because those are more action oriented. The first few games were very much like in the horror category.
Well, the first few games were like tank controls.
Yeah.
And now the remakes are over the shoulder. So, I'm not sure you could put that into VR. They proved it with Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
But still, maybe I'm playing a little devil's advocate here, but I feel like I can't really envision, and this is probably because nobody's done it yet, I can't envision, a really amazing game to the level of, God of War, Hotline Miami, Persona,
Right.
Hades, stuff like that, really, really great games. I can't imagine that sort of caliber of game being on VR yet. Usually all the VR games you see have a really cool gimmick, that
Yeah.
you play through, and it's maybe an hour or two long, and you know, you kind of just go on with your day. Some of them have really great replayability, like Super Hot, Beat Saber.
Yeah.
But like I'm waiting for that, really profound, big, huge game to come out and really prove that VR is the next step in gaming. Because right now I still feel like it's a little bit of a novelty.
I think honestly at this point I think it's more of a waiting game because like I said, it's just about getting these tools to people, right? Once the tech becomes good enough, people have the creative freedom to do whatever they want, and that's where we get really great games.
Although, I will say the metaverse is really not doing VR any favors.
Oh,
It looks
totally
like
no.
garbage. I cannot
The fact that it's
wait.
worse than VR chat is
Yeah.
surprising.
And I
Astounding
can't
even.
fathom why they're putting so much money into this. It is so useless.
Oh,
You can high five your coworkers on top of JPEGs of natural disasters. Like,
wait, what? Like you just
Yeah,
set it as a
what?
background?
yeah, you can. In one of the trailers, there was like it was Mark Zuckerberg and some woman, and they were like over a like a image of a flooded street somewhere, and they gave each other a high five,
Nice.
and and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do this. We just got out of a lockdown. Nobody wants to do remote work anymore, unless
Work from home. I mean,
work from
is
home
huge.
is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But if you have a job that can be done on Zoom, you can do it on Zoom. I don't think anybody wants to put on the VR headset, get it all calibrated, get it all ready to go to a meeting.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
With your little me. Literally, the characters, they look worse
Then
than the Miis from Nintendo.
John has beef with the metaverse. Sorry,
No,
guys.
I have beef with I hate Facebook. I hate WhatsApp. I hate I like Instagram. I think Instagram is a pretty
Well,
cool-
Instagram
Okay.
is part of Facebook.
my only caveat
So-
to like WhatsApp is
Or Meta,
that
sorry.
my immigrant family just kind of uses WhatsApp. Like if you're
Well,
if you're
yeah, of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
kind of like how like people from especially Asia, they use WeChat and it's just like you can't get around it.
WeChat is
WeChat is
even worse.
exactly, but it's like one of those things that are so ingrained that like you just kind of have to deal with it.
I don't know.
It's terrible. I won't lie.
The mega corporations like Amazon, they have their fair share of awful things, but they do a good job. Facebook sucks. It's so besides Marketplace,
Yeah,
which is the
Marketplace is
only
nice.
redeeming quality of Facebook,
It's useful.
nobody should use Facebook. It's useless. It's so awful as a social media platform.
You're beefing with like 2
It
billion people who use
No,
Facebook.
but even me, I mean, I use Facebook, but that's again family type thing. Like old people use Facebook. And
I'm
you know that.
exaggerating a little bit.
Tiny little bit.
I just think, seeing the course of Meta right
Yeah.
now.
I don't think Meta is the right one to be pushing this VR.
I was gonna
narrative.
say, how does the metaverse work? Like, how do you
It's
enter
literally-
the metaverse?
You just log in
log in where
it's
though? Like,
a
on
server,
Facebook.
basically. Basically, think of it as like a
so you
game.
go on Facebook, connect your VR headset, and like
Think of it
it's like
as
a
like
server.
think of it as like a web page basically. So you know how like you land on a web page and then you can go back and forth to like other web pages. Like you go to Google, you find stuff. It's basically that. Like if you've
So
ever
it's
played
like metaverse.com.
if you've ever played VR chat, it's that. It is that because like
Don't ever play VR chat.
okay, VR chat is interesting because so I didn't know this, but there are even like rooms for language exchange, which
Oh,
they're
that's
pretty
pretty
neat.
cool.
So for example, like this past summer or like a few summers ago, I was with my friends and they were like, "Oh, you know what we should do? We should check out this language exchange where like you go and there are like people from Japan speaking Japanese that want to learn English, and then you have English speakers from wherever that want to learn Japanese, and so you all get mixed up in a room and you just try to communicate with each other."
You know what?
That's really
Actually,
cool.
that actually directly reflects the point that you were making earlier, where you have this little stupid design space
Yeah,
and you let people do what they want and have the freedom to explore and make new things, and then you have something beautiful like that. You also get those,
Bad. Terrible.
very bad. You know what I'm talking about.
I think John is about to start his own metaverse. Sounds like.
No, there's no. Really, right now, I don't think there's really a point.
No.
You know?
Same thing with like NFTs and the whole like. It could have had a future if people didn't ruin it.
I mean, there's a
Is that
point to
still going?
NFTs.
NFTs are still a thing. I mean, for the better or worse, they're still a
But
thing.
like the hype, I feel like.
Yeah, they really died down. Didn't
Yeah,
they?
I
haven't
haven't
thought
I mean,
about
about
they're still a thing, but like people are still doing stuff with it, but it's very down low. Same thing with like cryptocurrency, since it's been down for so long. Like you don't hear as many people talking about it.
Well, I guess the old people were right again. The rich, white, old people were right again. That crypto and NFTs were a fad.
At least for now. At least
we've
they're right
yet
for
to
now.
see. I think they're kind of dead right now, or like very on the down low. But I mean, we talked
The
about this, right?
that's the thing.
NFTs.
The
are probably
technology is cool. I'm just
dead.
waiting for the right person to come up and use the technology for something good.
Why
That's
can't it be
basically it.
us? Why can't it be you?
Ooh.
I mean, come on. This is the design space. Imagine a world where you could have digital receipts of things that pixels that you own. Imagine that.
Exactly.
Think about that in a. Oh man, I just came up with a really good idea.
Okay, you want to share it or do you want to keep it?
No, I want to keep
You
it.
might want to keep it and patent it,
Yes, I want
so
to
no one
keep it.
steals it.
I want to patent it. I'm gonna make a lot of money. That's always been the plan.
Be ready, guys. John's coming for Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk.
No.
Oh wait.
You
Why did I
can't
involve
say
Elon
that.
Musk?
You cannot say that.
Hold
You're
on,
gonna get
Elon Musk
targeted.
isn't in this space, really.
Yes,
Is
I'm-
Elon Musk in this space? At
Dude,
all?
Elon Musk is on everything.
But
Yeah.
is he in video games and
Elon-
VR?
He might.
Let me just
Maybe
say
he's
this.
invested a little bit, but
Recently,
that'd be interesting.
Elon Musk has really been dropping the ball. He
on-
keeps making promises like, by 2050 we're gonna have 1 million people on Mars.
Mars, yeah,
And
that's
it's
not
like
looking
you
good
haven't
right now.
even got one person into space yet.
Bro, his rocket keeps exploding. I mean,
Exactly. And it's just. I mean, he's been on the down low for a while. What happened to the Cybertruck? Where's that?
you remember the
The
demo?
wait. That's
where they
even
throw the ball?
even then the Tesla Roadster. That was announced way before the
And
Cybertruck.
where's that? The only thing I think he's ever delivered on were the flamethrowers.
Oh yeah, those are good.
He
Those
did a
are
good
good.
job rolling out those flamethrowers.
Oh, the link is.
I will say.
The link is pretty good. The the internet thing. Oh, I can't remember.
Oh,
the name.
Starlink.
Starlink is pretty good.
Starling?
It's like essentially you can set up like your own like
It's basically
Kind
you
of
know how
like-
like internet you need wires.
Mm-hmm.
It's satellite internet,
yeah.
Oh, very
exactly.
clever.
and they use it. And I think Elon Musk deployed a whole bunch of them for like whenever a disaster hit, for like hurricanes and stuff, to like communities in need that needed communication.
Finally doing some good for the world.
Yeah. So there are a few things. They aren't all flops, but I think very much, if anything, I feel like Elon Musk has ignited like interest in the fields that he's in. Like it or not, a lot more companies are getting into electric vehicles, which is good.
Yeah,
That's
well,
true. That's true.
Yeah, it is true. That is true. And anything that Elon Musk touches,
Same thing with
Twitter
Apple.
will soon follow.
I was gonna say he's bidding for Twitter again.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's there was like a lawsuit going on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, because he tried to back out of the
It was
deal.
it's
with
so
like
crazy.
the bots. He thinks like 10% or whatever.
No, it's
He
really
wants it
more.
to be
users are bots.
paid.
I mean, Twitter.
Twitter?
There already is a
Yeah.
paid Twitter. Twitter
Really?
Blue.
Yeah, but that's no. Who uses that? Come on.
Creators use that.
Oh my god.
Like people that can actually afford it use that.
I mean,
Influencers. Guys.
MKBHD uses that.
Anyway,
you gotta say though, like regardless of all of his successes and flops, this man is the richest man on earth.
yeah, I mean, he is.
So,
he is
like,
actually is.
He's
he?
left. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I could have sworn there was like it's either like a Indian guy or a Chinese guy.
No. I'm
Oh,
pretty sure.
like the owner of Alibaba or something?
I
think
I
about
have
Jack
no
Ma.
clue.
Maybe.
I don't think
Didn't
so.
he disappear
Yeah.
off the face of the earth? Oh, we can't talk about this. We have to cut this out.
Wait,
That's
actually?
a whole another topic.
If we talk about this,
Yeah, but this is the United
something
States.
might happen.
This is the United States.
It doesn't matter.
But we have. If we don't talk about it,
We just
it'll
get
keep
shadow
happening.
banned.
Actually, if we don't talk about it, we're being part of the problem because then we're censoring ourselves.
CLE, take a good look. What we're
Yeah,
doing.
and you know what?
No, I think it's a good topic though. I think
Yeah,
that
it
could be a
is.
future topic for sure.
Didn't we do that already?
We talked about privacy and security, which did get a little bit into the censorship stuff.
You
But
should watch season 0 or season 1.
Yeah,
Season-
whatever we're naming it.
well, this will have come out probably after
Yeah,
Mm,
those
definitely.
get published. But yeah. So, anyways, this was an interesting podcast.
Crazy.
We
went through
just-
so many rabbit holes and then came back.
We
Yeah, we-
absolutely obliterated Facebook and the metaverse and Mark Zuckerberg. Sorry.
You know, I personally, it's just the mega corporations. It just irks me a little bit. I think it
HTC,
irks a
please
lot of
release
people.
something new. You are the only hope.
But you know, I do want to bring a level of humor.
No, I think it's good.
So-
I think it's good.
Don't take everything I said
Too
at face
seriously.
value and too seriously.
Yeah.
But you know, I think there is a problem with mega corporations.
No, for
I
sure.
think there
Certainly.
is a problem that one person can control entire industries at their whim. And, you know, I really do think that, you know, some of the things that Elon Musk does are very, very, very beneficial to the world. But I think there needs to be a lot more. I think in general, everything that we talk about, there needs to be a lot more. We're playing a little bit of the waiting game.
Mm.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
VR, we're looking at bigger VR games with, you know, more robust stories. We're looking at more people to develop cool things using tools that have already been put out there. We're waiting for new technologies to maybe overthrow or inspire Tesla and Apple and whoever else to be better. And I think the beauty of it is that we are in the position, again, probably say this every podcast, but we're in the position to aid in this.
Yeah,
It's just a really beautiful thing.
definitely.
Yeah, this
So-
is our future, guys. I mean,
Just go out there, like find a problem that you think is interesting and try to solve it. Even if you don't get all the way there, I mean, you're making some progress, and if anything, you're learning from it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Trust.
Literally anything. The smallest problem, everything has a community. Everything has a niche. If it's a problem that you have, somebody else has that problem, and they're trying to fix it too.
All
it's
right.
very true.
Mm.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this podcast.
Do your homework.
We have some
Go
cool
to bed
topics.
early.
Eat healthy. Go
Yeah.
work out.
Go
Stay
to the gym.
disciplined.
Definitely.
Stay hungry. Stay curious.
Yeah, and use your
Most
brain.
importantly, use your brain
And play games.
and play games.
Exactly.
All right. Till
Those
next
types of
time.
line.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.